LeVeon Bell says he wants to return to the National Football League and wants to come back to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you'll never believe which Steelers player endorsed him to come back. All right, we'll talk about that here in just a second. Also, Bleacher Report came out with a blockbuster trade idea for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm going to react to that trade idea from BR, and then also the latest Steelers coaching news surrounding some of the assistant coaches here as the Steelers begin to fill out their coaching roster here for the 2024 NFL campaign. But before we get into today's news and rumors, Coop is the channel manager of our Mavericks channel here at Chat Sports, and we have a friendly wager today, all right? So Mavericks Today just had the most likes on a video in their channel's history yesterday, and Coop said there's no way Steelers fans can top this.
I'm looking at you, Hot Rod. I'm looking at you, DJ KJ. You can't beat my channel. I'm sorry. It's Jover for you.
So he was willing to wager today. Whichever video gets more likes, the loser has to get slapped on Steelers Talk Live on Wednesday with a tortilla.
I'm very confident we're winning.
So if you want me to slap Coop, make sure you click that thumbs up icon right now. And with that, let's get into today's top story, which is LeVeon Bell, one of the greatest running backs in the history of the Pittsburgh Steelers, says that he is now attempting an NFL comeback after 2 whole years away from the National Football League. Bell also indicated in his quote that he'd only play for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He says he's going to start working out in March, and if he feels good in April, he's going to reach out to the Pittsburgh Steelers to see if they'll have him for training camp as we approach the 2024 season. And you know what? The captain of the team, Cam Heyward, went on his podcast and endorsed bringing LeVeon back at least for training camp in 2024. This is what Cam had to say about the possibility of bringing back Lev Bell. If he comes back, we would love to have him. He looked like he was in great shape last time we saw him. I know we got some great running backs, but he could provide some knowledge for the group, and we'll take him from there. So listen, guys, when it comes to Lev Bell, don't hold your breath, okay? I'm not even sure if he's going to be trying to actually work out in March. I mean, first of all, if you're serious about an NFL comeback, why are you delaying it until a whole month later, right? Why don't you get started right now? I mean, for Christ's sake, the last time he was in the National Football League, he was terrible. So it's like if you want to really get back to the level that you were, and he said in his quote, if he comes back, he's going to be quote-unquote better than ever before. It seems like he might want to start working out, LeVeon. So, I mean, forgive me for being skeptical that this could actually happen. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you bring back LeVeon Bell for training camp in 2024? Give me a yes or give me a no for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here at some point during this video. That's just how YouTube works. When that happens, take advantage of that time by giving me a yes or no down there in the comments section. So now Bleacher Report projects that the Pittsburgh Steelers will trade for Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields before the 2024 NFL Draft. This trade idea comes from Brad Gagnon. I hope I'm saying that right. From Bleacher Report, and this is what he had to say about this trade idea. It sure as heck doesn't appear the long-term quarterback answer is on the roster, but they also keep winning enough that they lack the draft capital to land the primo passing prospect, give me a break, in this year's draft. Meanwhile, they remain competitive and talented enough to reach the postseason, but they also lack salary cap space. He's talking about the Steelers throughout this quote, by the way. You know what they need? A cheap, talented quarterback with upside who could very well come into his own in a new setting with a stable franchise. We just described Justin Fields, who at 24 is a phenomenal young athlete with the ability to become a star. Finishes up his quote here by saying, if the Bears decide to go down a new quarterback path with the top pick in the draft, they could very well decide to deal Fields out if the conference to a Steelers team that has little reason not to give him a shot. So personally, guys, you guys know I am a big Justin Fields to Pittsburgh fan. I did an entire video about breaking down the reasons why I think it's a great idea. I'm going to put that link in the comments and description of today's video. I also talk about Russell Wilson and why he would be a really good fit here in Pittsburgh, and I break down all the reasons. It's one of the best videos we've done so far this offseason, so I highly recommend, after today's video, checking that one out. Again, I'm going to put the link in the comments and description in the comments section. Now, coming up here, What is it going to take to trade for Justin Fields, and is that price worth it for the Pittsburgh Steelers? I'm going to answer those questions here in about 2 minutes, but before I get into that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Game Time. And if you are thinking about getting tickets to the big game in Vegas on Sunday, you know what game I'm talking about, then use today's sponsor, Game Time, to help getting those expensive tickets just a little bit easier. For all of our listeners, if you use code VEGAS100, that's one word, all caps, you see it right down the bottom right of your screen on the Game Time app, you'll get $100 off to help get your butt to Allegiant Stadium on February 11th to watch the NFC and AFC champions and the 49ers and the Chiefs duke it out for the Lombardi Trophy in the biggest game of the year. But not only that, Game Time is also the largest growing or the fastest growing ticketing app in the country. Game Time boasts the lowest price guarantee on all tickets to any event. That includes concerts, that includes sporting events. If you want to go see the Penguins play, if you want to see the Pirates play this spring, you can get tickets on the Game Time app. Snag the tickets without the stress today with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code SteelersChat, one word, all caps. Again, it's right down there in the bottom right of your screen for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code SteelersChat for $20 off your first purchase, and use code VEGAS100 to get $100 off your ticket to the big game in Vegas this weekend. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So we got a couple of trade ideas here. So this one's just trade capital oriented, all right? So you get Justin Fields from the Chicago Bears. You give the Bears the 51st overall pick in the NFL draft. That's in the second round. And then because you have 2 fourth-round picks, you could give one of those to the Chicago Bears. 119 overall goes to Chicago in exchange for Justin Fields. I think that's a pretty fair offer, but I mean, with the Bears and everything, you know, would they want a little bit more? Would Atlanta, for example, offer them more? It's certainly possible. I think I'd probably be willing to go up as high as like a second and like a future third-round pick for Chicago in terms of getting Justin Fields. But if you don't want to give up this much draft capital, you could trade Deontay Johnson, all right? So you could trade Deontay, who's not really a good fit for this offense anymore now that Arthur Smith is coming in. He likes bigger receivers that can block in the run game. Deontay's a bit smaller. He's more of a route-running specialist, and he's got 1 year left on his deal. So it makes sense that the Steelers might trade him this offseason, especially if it means they could get a potential franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. So in this deal, you give up Deontay and then a fourth-round pick, the 120th overall pick in this year's NFL draft. So between these two options here, which one would you take? Would you take the just draft capital oriented one, or would you take the Deontay Johnson one? 1 or 2 for me down there in the comments section to let me know which trade package you would prefer for Chicago Bears quarterback Justin Fields. Now, before I go here, we do have some coaching news updates for the Black and Gold here that have developed over the last several days. The first one is that at the Pro Bowl this week, with all the best players in the National Football League, they took a poll of which coach they would most like to play for in the National Football League. And the person that got the most votes, by far I might add, is Mike Tomlin. And this shows just how respected this man is in the National Football League and why the Steelers are making the right decision by keeping this guy as the head of their organization. Of course, you need to figure out the offensive side of the ball. That's something Mike Tomlin has not been able to do over the last several years, but we're hoping Arthur Smith is the right man for the job. I certainly think he has a good shot of that, and if Arthur Smith ends up being the real deal, and they could get a really good quarterback, I think Mike Tomlin is one of the best leaders and one of the best defensive minds in football, and that is proven here by how much the players around the league and other coaches around the league really respect him. Now, when it comes to the assistant coaches here in Pittsburgh, we got some news on wide receiver coach Frisman Jackson today. He will not be brought back with the team. There was also a couple quality control coaches that will not be returning to the team this year. And, you know, speculation is starting to start right now that it could be Hines Ward, former Steelers legend, should be a Hall of Fame wide receiver. He could be coming in here. He's been trying a bunch of different areas. He was a coach in the XFL last year with the San Antonio Brahmas. He's worked with the Jets as an offensive assistant before. It makes sense for Hines Ward to come back to Pittsburgh, work with George Pickens and whatever wide receivers they have here over the next several years to try to establish himself as a true coaching presence in this league. And honestly, man, I think that is a perfect fit. He knows what it means to be a Steeler. He knows what it means to be a great wide receiver. I think that's a perfect marriage. And because he's got that coaching experience, I would love to see him here with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, should the Steelers bring in some former really big name coaches that are still free agents out there and kind of create like a super staff here in Pittsburgh? Like, of course, you brought in Brian Flores when he got fired from the Miami Dolphins that 1 year, and then eventually he moves on and gets a DC job with the Minnesota Vikings. Why not do the same with Eric Bieniemy and Mike Vrabel? Bring Eric Bieniemy in as, like, I don't know, a pass game coordinator or something like that, right? He's close with Tomlin. He's somebody that probably doesn't want to go back to Kansas City, and today Washington said they're not bringing him back. And then Mike Vrabel, somebody that's a former Steeler, somebody that has connections to the city, has connections to Tomlin as well. Could you bring him back as a defensive analyst, somebody that's like a senior defensive assistant to help out Terrell Austin kind of cultivate his defensive vision for 2024? I think whenever you can add high caliber coaches like this to your staff, that's only going to be good. So make sure, so if I'm Mike Tomlin right now, I'm doing whatever I can to get these two on the staff in whatever capacity I can. Now pick a coach for me down there in the comment section. If you can only pick one here between Eric Bieniemy or Mike Vrabel, which one are you adding to this Steelers coaching staff for 2024? Type EB if you'd rather have Bieniemy to help out Arthur Smith in the offense, or would you rather have Mike Vrabel? Type MV for Mike Vrabel, the former Titans head coach. That'll be it for today's show, guys. Again, make sure you click that thumbs up icon so I can slap Coop in the face on Wednesday. We can't let that Mavericks channel beat us. We just can't, all right? We can't let the Browns beat us. I mean, I feel just as strongly about this one. We cannot let Mavericks Today beat us. Make sure you click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already, and make sure you click that subscribe button for nonstop Steelers coverage all throughout the 2024 offseason.